Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the TMZ Podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton and I'm joined by Derek Kaufman. Welcome, Derek.
Thanks for having me, Charlie. Good to have you back in the seat, man.
I know. It feels like home, to be honest.
This is your home. This is your home. We only let you out to take a few pictures every now and then, but this is where you live and sleep. You sleep right under here.
How depressing. All right, we got a few good verses type stories today. These are the three stories we're going to do. Prince Harry versus the Daily Mirror, which is a public tabloid over there in England. We got Kanye versus the paparazzi, a famous old battle that's gone back and forth throughout time. We've got a new update.
All right.
And we've got PETA versus PETA, Davidson.
You love a good pun. You love how that rolls off the tongue. They told me this morning, they're like, Charlie wants to cover Peter versus PETA, and I was like, I know why.
Yeah.
But let's start with the court showdown, should we?
We should. Harry was supposed to turn up to this court date, and he missed it. That's the story. Prince Harry is suing the Daily Mirror. Well, there's 5 pending cases against UK tabloids, but the Daily Mirror is the first one on the docket. He was supposed to show up to the first day of the court case, but said he couldn't go because he's a bit late. He's heading over to England for the court case, but he's a bit late because it was Lilibet's second birthday.
I love that he was a bit late because of the birthday of his daughter, which no doubt is a big deal. It's her second birthday.
That's a big one.
It is the vestiges of his royal prerogative, I like to say. Like, if you're scheduled to show up for court, you show up for court. You don't get to say, I had a birthday for my daughter. The birthday was always on the calendar. This was always your court date, but he still has a little prince in him. And that's what's interesting about this case to me is you don't see royals in courts. You know why? Because they exist sort of above courts in a way.
Yeah.
Like royals are the supreme law of the land, or they used to be. And now that we have constitutional democracies and all this kind of stuff, you have court systems, but he still behaves a little bit like a royal when he wants to, right? He's just like, I'll get to court when I can.
But that doesn't bode well for him or doesn't look good, if you're not. Isn't he suing them too? So shouldn't he be at the court case he started?
Yeah, all of these lawsuits are about how upset celebrities are. Elton John is involved in one. Prince Harry's involved in one. About the tactics of British tabloids or British media. Tabloids may be a loaded term, but British media used to sort of use some unsavory tactics where there would be some spying on people, some phone hacking allegations, things of that nature. And the Daily Mirror is in the middle of all this and actually has said, yeah, in the past, we've done some of that sort of stuff to get juicy stories, but that's all behind us now. And Harry said, well, it's not behind you. I'm suing you over it for all of these tactics. And you're going to have to answer for it in court. But now when you don't show up in a lawsuit that you brought,
right,
you make it look like you don't care that much. It's one thing to sort of duck being if you're a defense witness and you're like, I don't want to show up to court because I shouldn't have been dragged here. But when you're prosecuting the lawsuit, you're pushing it and you don't show up, you're signaling to the judge you don't really care that much.
But
you're not that angry.
But he started this whole court case by saying because he cared so much and because he was so angry.
Then show it.
And then he doesn't even turn up. It's having it both ways a bit. Now, he's accusing them, this spying thing is how Daily Mirror and other tabloids, used and have admitted to using private investigators to sort of figure out different stories about, say, his dating life back then and that sort of stuff. The phone hacking there was this industry practice of guessing the codes to people's voicemails, basically.
Oh, that's not really hacking. That's just guessing.
It's called hacking. It's called hacking.
Hacking sounds like you used a sort of computer expert to get into a system illegally. If you just sort of stumble upon the right code.
No, they probably just guessed his birth date. Bingo, bango, bongo.
Right.
We're through.
Right.
But that's a no-no.
It's a no-no. And look, it's not a good look for media organizations to do this. We certainly don't do it in America, or it's not an accepted practice. It may be done by certain people, but it's interesting. So the British tabloids have always been kind of like this, at least as long as I've known about them, since sort of the 90s and stuff. They push the envelope more than American journalism. And yet there's fewer protections overseas. It's always been interesting to me, the balance, because here we have a robust First Amendment. We're allowed to do a lot of things in the pursuit of news stories.
Right.
We care about that. We'd rather have the news stories out there to, show truth to power and so forth. But it's not the same attitude overseas. And yet the British media is aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Aggressive, right? I mean, you come from that tradition, kind of. You're part of the crowd.
Because I'm Australian?
Yes. How are they in Australia, though? Is it more British style or more American style.
Yeah, more American style, probably. I mean, British are famously just, their journalists are dogged in a way that, skirts the line between legal and illegal.
Yes.
And so I'm not like defending the Mirror here, but also Prince Harry's also kind of the worst in his own capacity. Like,
it's hard to have a rooting interest in a lawsuit like this because I'm with you. It's like I'm not a pro spying and hacking, but I really have about this much patience for the antics of Prince Harry and
a
Princess
bee's
Meghan.
dick.
Yeah,
Just a tiny little bee's dick.
This one, this little one. I'm glad you called it another animal, not just me. Considering
right.
you take those shots at me any chance you can get in that newsroom.
So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. It'll obviously set precedent because this isn't the last case he's bringing against tabloids.
And it's not the end of the world that he didn't show up. I said it looks bad, the optics, but he'll show up and he'll testify and the case will move on. Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But man, Harry hates the press, has always hated the press. And you're poking a bear more and more because the press is going to continue to write bad articles about you now. It's just like, this is a horrible war for him to be in.
I agree. Is it that before we move on, like, it obviously comes from his mother's relationship with the press. It obviously ended in tragedy with the chase through the tunnel in Paris and the car crash. So he has this antagonistic relationship with the press, but I don't think pursuing it in this way helps him. I think this only makes him a juicier topic. And in some sense, deep down within Harry, he loves being a source of attention, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's now, especially since he left the royal family, he is dependent on relevance, right? He needs to have people interested in him so that he can get Netflix deals and so forth. So he can't push them too far where no one cares anymore. He has to push them just far enough that they want to cover him incessantly.
So, I mean, you could be talking about the guy in our next story.
Yes.
Kanye West, who has a love-hate relationship with paparazzi. By the way, you like that segue?
I love that.
Thank you. He has a love-hate relationship with paparazzi. He wants attention, then he doesn't want attention. Well, now is one of the times that he doesn't want attention. Paparazzi were supposedly following him.
And he's not using the courts.
He's not using the courts.
He's using shoulder pads.
Right. He and his wife, I don't know, Bianca Censori, went to church. Paparazzi were following them to church. Obviously quite annoying. He gets out of his car.
Well, you're missing a key point. Who's in the car?
Bianca Censori.
And?
I think the little Psalm kid.
There's a kid in the car. Does that change it for you at all? Because it seems like you're like, the paparazzi are following he and his wife versus following him, his wife, and a little kid.
I can understand why that would add to your annoyance and frustration, yes, but you can't be shouting at paparazzi while wearing shoulder pads, like see-through black leggings, and like it says Police, which is German word for police, which is almost him doing that sort of anti-Semitic like little like,
it's him trolling.
Remember that? I was anti-Semitic. That's German word for police. And if you did you see the photos of his wife? What she was wearing?
Oh no, I saw him get out of the car. What was she wearing?
She is wearing what Madison here, one of our producers, described as a condom tulip. It looks like
you don't even need to describe it. I'm right there with you.
It is a skin tight black. Like I can't even. You have to look at the photos on our website. I can't even begin to describe what she's wearing. But
who's dressing who? Is this a Kanye dresses the women in his vision?
Without
he
a
did
doubt.
This with him, but she's also quite artistic, right?
Without a doubt, this is the Kanye effect. But can you really say, don't pay us attention while wearing like giant clown outfits? You know what I mean?
I agree completely. Now, I want to take two different things here, though. So when Kanye gets out of the car, I think he is truly angry. I think he's not just sort of joking. I think Kanye flips into these modes where he's very frustrated that the paparazzi are following him and he wants them to back off and he wants to growl and do his thing that sort of intimidates them or what have you. I think it only hurts him because it only becomes a bigger news story when you growl at the paparazzi versus when you just kind of go on your way and ignore them. Right. But anyway, he gets out in his shoulder pads and his leggings and growls at them a little bit and says, you MFers are following me.
Let's play the sound.
Yeah, play the sound. You got to hear his tone.
Like, seriously, bro? All of you motherfuckers stop following me.
So yeah, as described.
As described perfectly, right? So, but you're right. He steps out in what is a clown outfit. Like,
Yes.
would this clip be any different, really, if he came out in a full bozo red nose and said, "Hey, what are you looking at? What are you looking at?
And
Big
then
floppy shoes,
squirted water out of his nose at them or something.
That's what's absurd about him is he is wearing essentially that, right?
Yes.
He's wearing a clown costume. And now I think he wants to like start selling these. I always assume he's wearing these things so that he can then put them in fashion shows and then make a line. Let me tell you something right now, Kanye West. Football shoulder pads are never going to be broadly fashionable.
Okay, I'll disagree with you on that
They
point.
will never.
I'll disagree with you on that point.
Tell me.
I thought it looks kind of cool. Like, honestly, sometimes I've worn shoulder pads and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, hang on a second. Is that me? Is that really me? Like with a V-shaped sort of abdomen? Like it looks great because girls like guys with broad shoulders. That's
yeah,
no
but
lie.
is anyone gonna put these on in regular day and like go
Wear
to
them
the office?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the moment,
I agree.
no.
It does make your body look good, sure.
At the moment, no. But you never know the pull of Kanye. And, you know, everyone was getting around in his sock-like shoes and his...
Those are fire. I would actually maybe wear those.
But would have you said they were fire, like, you know, years ago? Like, fashion, he affects trends.
He moves the needle. Yeah.
He moves the needle. And, I mean, speaking of needle, you can see everything in these leggings.
Everything.
You can
These
see
are not for all men to wear.
I don't think they will take off. It shows the curvature of every thing. But
the shoulder
shoulder
pads,
pads, I don't mind. I don't think that her sort of like condom tulip like outfit will take off. In the same way.
Tougher sell. It looks very uncomfortable. It just doesn't look practical. I won't say his fashion lends itself to practical. Now,
They're
maybe
going to church, by the way. They're not going to some brunch like some
No.
fancy. They're going to church in these
he's going
outfits.
to church dressed like a stormtrooper,
Right.
and she's in a condom. It's bizarre. Does anyone see? You don't see Psalm. Is Psalm wearing the pads?
You only see some kind of after this whole thing has gone down, like this beef, and you see some like riding he brought a bike along.
Do you think baby football muscle shoulder pads would look kind of cool, like as a
Yeah.
onesie on a very small child? I could see that actually catching.
I
on.
do.
Looking cool.
Like, I'm not here to debate fashion or no fashion because I quite like it.
All right.
What I'm here like, can you be really wearing that big red shiny nose and saying don't look at my nose?
No, that's what this clip looks to me kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, you can growl all you want, but you're not that angry if you're wearing shoulder pads
Right.
and booties or whatever those things are, like your skin tight sock shoes and your
Yeah.
tulip. Like, it's hard for me to take you seriously, and I now want to take more pictures of you looking angry and indignant while dressed like a clown.
I would love to see you just waltz in onto the TMZ newsroom one day just wearing that, like no nonchalant, like not even a big deal. Howdy, folks. Good morning.
Ready for court.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the first pitch? All right, let's move on to your favorite story.
PETA versus
Set
PETA.
it up for me. Yeah.
PETA versus PETA. You guys say Peter Davidson and PETA, the animal rights. They love animals. They protest everything. They're angry with Pete Davidson because he bought a dog from a pet store. It's a bred dog. They think it's got to be rescue. If it's not rescue, it makes you a horrible person. And they essentially said as much. I mean,
Yeah, look at this quote. So PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, they always have a good quote. They're the ones who throw the paint and the flour on people in fur coats and so forth. Here's what they say. It's tragic that Pete didn't seek out a burrow-born mutt from a city animal shelter because a scrappy New Yorker with charm, personality, and unconventional handsomeness could have been his perfect match. They take every opportunity to get in the news. I give them a lot of credit because
Yes.
PETA is super relevant, more relevant than most NGOs and nonprofits of their like because of quotes like this. Here, I never defend Pete Davidson. I'm going to defend him slightly in this one.
Okay.
And here's what I'm going to say. He bought a Cavapoo. You know what a Cavapoo is?
The type of dog.
It's like a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel mixed with a poodle. And the reason they mix them is because they like the look of the Spaniel, but it's hypoallergenic. The fur doesn't bother people's allergies as much.
Interesting.
These are hard to find as rescues because they're bred dogs. They're obviously bred for a particular person who has allergies, and you can't find a rescue like that. If his mom has a severe allergy,
Well, he
does
does
have to-
actually.
or he does.
He has the allergy apparently.
Do you still hold him to task for not getting a rescue that's going to have a bunch of dirty dander from Queens or something
Yeah,
and
I
make him
mean-
sneeze? Like, it's hard to hold this against
Do
him.
you sneeze the rest of your life? Or, I mean, I think everybody should just get the dog they want and sort of, it's like getting a vegetarian getting angry with a meat eater. Like, put that burrito down. Like, you know how
Right.
many cows died so you could have that.
Stay in your lane a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
I rescue.
understand.
I'm pro rescue. I do think it's cheaper, frankly, and and it's also like there's so many strays that I do feel odd about going into a pet store where the animals are miserable and they're trying to sell them for hundreds of dollars. I'd rather just get a stray. It's like you just want an animal, don't you?
It can be cheaper. I mean, I'm a rescuer too, and we got this blind little dog.
Oh, I remember Ollie.
We got this blind little lovely dog, but oh man, they're expensive having these rescue dogs.
They're expensive, and they can come with issues. So
Issues.
sometimes the purebred ones also have these like genetic problems, like they bred pugs so much that they can't breathe and things like that. You hear about like they wanted their noses flatter and flatter, and now these dogs like suffocate all the time. It's
that's no
good.
good. That's a no.
But rescues can have their issues. Sometimes they are rescues because they were abused, and then they can come with all sorts of issues. Harvey will tell you that no one will love you more, and he lets his ugly dogs lick him in the mouth. Not ugly. They're not ugly, but he lets them lick him in his mouth, and that's weird.
It doesn't matter how good looking the dog is. I don't want you licking my mouth.
I know you think I'm gross and he's gross. I don't let dogs lick me in the mouth.
You got cats, don't you?
I did have cats, but their sandpaper tongues don't feel good in your mouth anyway.
Or anywhere, for that matter.
Yeah, I don't want to be where their tongues have been.
So,
But
I just think, man, live and let live.
yeah, look, I'm the first one to go after Pete, but he's kind of like settling down. He's in the pet store with Chase Sui Wonders, and Wonder, is that her name?
Yeah.
They seem like kind of a happy couple, and they also seem
right.
like well matched.
They seem right for each other.
There was something so awkward about him dating all of the like most beautiful women in the world. I'm not calling him, ugly, but as PETA says, unconventionally handsome. Like he seems to fit with more of a sort of an indie gal.
He's quirky.
He's quirky, and she's kind of quirky and beautiful and all that kind of stuff. And they seem like they're kind of happy.
It's a fun date to get to go and buy my mum a dog. Let's go to the pet store. We'll pick out a Cavapoo.
Yes.
He actually saw the Cavapoo in an Instagram ad, and so then went along and found it, and like there it is. That's the one for mum. Actually, Arab, shout out to the old dog Henry.
Oh yeah,
Henry was
away.
the old dog of theirs. They had got
not that old, 2 years old.
Yeah, 2 actually. That's not that old. But in dog years 12.
There you go. Okay.
So they had to replace Henry, and and so now they've got this new dog. So congratulations to Mrs. Davidson, Pete's mum, for getting this dog.
They have a new dog, and they'll love the dog. And it's hard to, other than the PETA versus Peter angle of this, I'm not that mad at him, and I get very upset with him.
You do. Last thing, what's your favorite breed of dog?
Oh, I had toy poodles as a kid, and I loved them. I had a little toy poodle named Sade. She was beautiful.
That is.
I did. That was my dog.
Sade?
She was Sade.
Why Sade?
My mom named her Sade. I don't know. We were really into Smooth Operator. I don't know.
Okay.
She was very cute.
Okay, gotcha. Well, thank you very much, Derek, for joining me. We'll see you all here again tomorrow.
All right. See ya.